Macabre Coven. We are Venomous Sin.
And Venomous Sin declares war on hypocrisy, fake fucks, and the politically correct world that tries to silence you.
We are the band that refuse to kneel.
And stand up for the ones the world tries to silence with fake smiles and so-called status.
You screamed, we hear.
And you are not alone.
Welcome, sinners, to the Macabre Coven, where politeness goes to rot and only venom survives. I'm Lina Macabre, your dark seductress, the one who laces poison with lipstick, and tonight I feel like taking our audience straight into the marrow of grief. This is not one of those sugar-coated podcasts with self-care slogans. This is about scars, and scars don't heal, they scream.
And I'm Chavi, the cynical bastard with hair longer than most relationships last. Welcome to Hell's Living Room, the place where comment corpses get burned and society's anal manual gets shredded page by page. This is Venomous Sin's little sidearm, the Macabre Coven, and today's episode is not therapy, it's necromancy.
Necromancy is right. Tonight we summon the ghost of a girl who refuses to let the dead be forgotten. She's not just shredding riffs, she's carving headstones into distortion. A guitarist, yes, but calling her just a guitarist is like calling a guillotine just a blade. She is the phantom spine of Venomous Sin.
Let's say it straight. But first, the disclaimer, she doesn't exist. She is one of the characters we built as a symbol for refusing to be silent while grieving. But without her, half our riffs would collapse like the drunk guy in the front row who swears he's unfuckwithable but pukes before the first encore. Sinners, tonight's guest is Sheila Moongrave.
Welcome, Sheila. The mic is yours, the poison is yours, the scars are yours.
You two sound like you're introducing me to my own funeral.
That's the idea. Your riffs are basically funeral marches with distortion, but more importantly, it's a middle finger to every pretend like it's fine when it's not.
You love mocking me, don't you? But yeah, you are right. Fuck silence.
Lord Anal mocks everyone, but tonight, Sheila, we want your truth. Tell them. Not the sanitized version, not the anal polite. We built you to haunt. Now haunt.
Fine. But don't expect inspiration. I was never built for inspiration. I was built for bitterness. I grew up with one best friend, the only one who understood me, the only one who cared. She wasn't a sunshine, she was shadows, despair and trouble. From the outside, people saw a girl smiling, trying to keep up. But underneath, she was bleeding out slowly, and nobody cared enough to notice. She never screamed. She whispered her pain, and whispers get ignored.
Until they're dead and then fake fuck pretend they care.
Exactly. She slipped into escorting. At first, she dressed it up as freedom, money, a choice. But it wasn't power, it was survival. She was drowning, and society threw her weights instead of ropes. Drugs followed, because you can't keep selling pieces of yourself without numbing what's left. She spiraled. Every time I saw her, there was less of her. Until one day, there was nothing left at all. A death that wasn't fast or merciful, but stretched out, a slow rot no one wanted to look at.
And you were the one forced to watch.
Yes, I watched her fade away piece by piece, and the world moved on like she never existed. Fuck that. That's what gets me the most. People said she made bad choices. They said she should have been stronger. They said she deserved it. Do you know what that means? It means they were glad it wasn't them. That's how society works. They gossip, they moralize, and then they forget. Fuck them. Yes, she made mistakes. We all do, but that doesn't mean we deserve to die.
The hypocrisy is enough to make you vomit fuck you sauce all over their tidy dinner tables. Fuck people, fuck their hypocrisy and their anal politeness.
Good put the energy into screaming instead of mocking me. She deserved better than gossip, better than silence. But nobody gave her that. She died and became a punchline whispered in kitchens. And I was left with rage. Rage that doesn't fade. Rage that festers.
That's why we wanted you, Sheila, because you don't let the scars vanish. You scream for them.
At first I didn't scream. I swallowed it. It made me sick. I thought silence was loyalty. But silence is complicity. So I needed something louder than lungs. That's when I picked up a guitar, not because I dreamed of stages, because I needed to exorcise her ghost. The first sound I made wasn't pretty. It was noise, broken, ugly, like steel scraping bone, and it was the truest thing I'd ever heard.
I bet your normie fuck neighbors love that. Germany's saddest riff at 3 a.m.
Shut the fuck up, Chavi. They called me noise pollution, but I didn't care. I crucifucked them with riffs. My fingers bled, my ears rang, and still I kept playing. Every bend of a note was her breath returning for a moment. Every riff was her heartbeat refusing to stop. I realized I didn't need closure. I needed vengeance.
And that's what you became. A fuck you riff without feelings.
I wasn't healing. I wasn't getting better. I was haunting, and I wanted to. Because if she couldn't rest, why the fuck should I?
That's when I came in, heard your playing, and said, this isn't music, this is Germany's saddest riff, and you wanted to crucifuck me on the spot.
I still do, but that would make Lina jealous, wouldn't it? But you were right. That's who I am. The saddest riff. A grief that refuses to shut up. And you know what? I own it.
Good. Make me jealous as long as I get to watch, because that's what we saw in you. Not just sadness, venom, a refusal to forgive, a refusal to let society bury her twice. You turn trauma into thunder, and that's what makes you Venomous Sin.
Society may have forgotten her, but I won't. Every time I pick up my guitar, she breathes again. And if that makes me bitter, so be it. At least I'm not a delusional validation whore.
Bitter is beautiful. Bitter is power. Bitter is what makes the audience choke on their fucking comfort and realize life is coffin candy wrapped in lies. They're having a feargasm while we all have an eargasm. I like that.
Did you just invent new words mid-podcast? Anyway, tonight, Sheila, you are here to spread your poison, not contain it.
I hate Chavi for almost making me want to laugh. Grief wasn't something I carried. It was something that carried me, like I was karma fucked from it. At first it drowned me, and I let it, because what else do you do when you lose the only person who understood you? But the more I let it in, the more it began to feel like a weapon. It shut my feeling down. Nothing or now one can crucifuck me anymore. If the world could ignore her, if society could shrug her death away like trash on the sidewalk, then I would use their indifference as fire. I shut everything down inside me, closed the doors to joy, slammed them shut so hard the hinges bent, because joy felt like betrayal. I told myself that if I couldn't save her, then I would make sure the silence around her turned into something that cut back.
That's what fascinates me about you, Sheila. Most people would have curled into comfort like clit pilots, trying to play the part of the survivor with fake smiles and hashtag lobotomized slogans about healing. You decided to turn your grief into a guillotine. That's why you seduce the audience without trying. You drip bitterness like perfume.
Yeah, what did you call them? Filter cunts? I didn't want perfume or becoming another like-addicted tramp or insta-slave. I wanted poison. Picking up a guitar was my confession and my curse. The first time I played, it sounded like broken glass in a blender, and yet it was the purest truth I'd ever heard. My fingers bled, but I didn't stop. I pressed harder. Each note was her ghost screaming through me. And with every sound, I felt less like a victim and more like an executioner.
And that's when I heard it, that mess of noise, and I said, Germany's saddest riff. I swear you wanted to crucifuck me on the spot.
You weren't wrong, Chavi. I did want to crucifuck you. But I also couldn't deny it. That was me. I was Germany's saddest riff. It was grief turned into sound, pain turned into distortion. The kind of riff that doesn't end with applause, but with silence in a room full of uncomfortable faces.
And that's what makes it so raw. You don't follow some anal manual from certifucked grammar bitch or pussy polite politics. You don't play to please, you play to haunt. You draw people in because they're terrified of admitting they know what you mean. Everyone has ghosts, but you rip yours out on stage and shove them down the audience's throat.
Exactly. I wanted the audience to choke on what they pretend isn't there.
That's why I also started calling you Moongrave, because you weren't just playing guitar, you were bleeding sorrow like a broken moon. And admit it, the name suits you better than you like.
I hate that name.
Which is why it's perfect. You play better when you're pissed.
It pulls out your raw emotion, and that's why we keep poking you with it. Because bitterness and grief are not weaknesses in Venomous Sin. There are fuel, but with anger, it becomes napalm.
And that's why I needed you. Because when I met you both, you didn't ask me to move on, you didn't tell me to heal. You mocked me, you spit in my face. Chavi looked me in the eye without flinching and said, "Make it sound like the breakdown you never got." That sentence lit a fire I didn't know I had left.
Because pity is a coffin. I wasn't going to pity you. I wanted to see if you had venom left enough to crucify those hypocrite dildo prohets.
And I did. I picked up the guitar, I played, and it wasn't pretty, but it was alive. It was the exact breakdown my life never gave me. And that's when I realized I didn't need to be saved. I needed to become the Phantom Guitarist. That's when I became Sheila Moongrave.
A phantom for the ones who never got their justice.
Yes, every note I play is for them, for the ones that didn't make it, for her, for the forgotten. My solos are their unfinished sentences. My distortion is their vengeance.
And that's when Venomous Sin became your home. Because we don't heal, we scar, and your scar fit perfectly with ours.
You summoned me, whether you realized it or not. You made space for my bitterness, my grief, my phantom rage. You didn't ask me to play nice, you dared me to haunt, and I belonged instantly, because where else could I go? Society didn't want me, friends faded, but Venomous Sin thrives on outcasts. Told me not to be quiet, but to explode.
You shifted from victim to revenge. You stopped being the girl who lost her best friend and became the ghost who makes sure no one in the entire clitocracy forgets her.
Exactly, because I will never forgive society for forgetting her, and I will never let them ignore me. Every time I step on stage, I don't give a fuck about their shit spiracy anal politeness. I'm not asking to be seen. I'm demanding it.
That's why you belong, because Venomous Sin doesn't recruit, we summon, and Sheila Moongrave was summoned by Rage itself as part of our army.
And I answered, and I declare fucking war on every be polite out there. When I step on stage, I don't step as a woman, I step as a ghost. I am not there to entertain, I am there to haunt. Every note I play, every chord I strike, is for the ones who never got their justice, the friend who slipped into the abyss and never climbed out. The forgotten ones buried beneath society's fucking hypocrisy. I play for them because the world doesn't. The world silences them, calls them mistakes, labels them as bad choices. I take that silence and I shred it until it bleeds.
That's what makes you dangerous, Sheila. You don't just play riffs. You resurrect corpses with distortion. You're like a seance with power chords, dragging ghosts out of their graves and forcing the audience to sit through their unfinished screams.
Exactly. Every time I hit a note, I hear her voice again. Every solo is her unfinished sentence. People want to believe music is about beauty, about healing, about feeling good. Mine isn't. Mine is about vengeance. Mine is about scars that never close. I don't want them to heal. I want them to remain open, infected, reminders that society failed.
And that's what Venomous Sin is built on. We're not here to hand out comfort blankets. We're here to drench you in fuck you sauce until you gag on truth. Sheila, your role in this rebellion isn't to be a background guitarist. You're the lead guitarist. You are a phantom on the front line, the blade that makes the wound impossible to ignore.
I never wanted to be a fucking hero. I wanted to be a haunting. When I play, I want people to feel her hand on their shoulder the way I did on her final time at the hospital, to feel the weight of every girl who was told to smile while she was bleeding inside. My presence isn't a performance, it's a curse. And for every faceless fuck telling me to shut up, fuck you.
And that's why you're more important to Venomous Sin than most people realize. You're not some selfie slut asking for validation. You are not playing healing songs, because Venomous Sin doesn't do healing. We do war cries for the broken. You're not background noise, you're the phantom spine that keeps standing up even as a corpse.
That's how I see myself, a ghost in the rebellion. You two gave me a place where my rage wasn't seen as madness, but as fuel, and I took it because I knew it was the only way to make sure the forgotten would not be erased.
People listening right now might think this is melodrama, but that's because they've been #lobotomized by fake positivity. You can call it melodrama if it helps you sleep, but the truth is, Sheila's Phantom Guitarist persona is more honest than 90% of the fake-ass empowerment anthems out there.
I don't want to empower anyone. I want to remind them that pain doesn't vanish just because you post about it. Pain lingers. And when I play, I make it linger in you too. Then I twist the fucking knife.
That's why we love you, Moongrave, because you don't just hit strings, you hit nerves. And that's the kind of venom this world needs.
Call me Moongrave again and I'll strangle you with a guitar string.
So worth it, I probably even like it.
That's the seduction of Sheila Moongrave. She threatens you, and somehow it feels like a love letter. At least to Lord Anal. That's why she's ours. Sheila, remind me again. Why the fuck I still hang out with this bastard?
Because you love him and don't want to grieve again. Yes, tell them, Lina, the grief in me. What it truly symbolises. I belong to Venomous Sin because we're not a band. We're a rebellion. My Phantom Guitarist role isn't about solos. It's about vengeance. It's about being the ghost at every party reminding you the coffin is waiting. And it is about trauma you both been through.
Wow, this one's hurt. I'm gonna enjoy this one.
Shut up, you both. Fine, I tell them. We created Sheila out of the grief I felt after my fuck-ups, after my miscarriage, after Chavi left me, those 12 years that followed, alone. Thanks for crucifying me on the spot. Why did I ask?
Because you needed a fucking reminder. I felt grief too, but at least I didn't have myself to blame. And that's how the sinners should see it too. When you hear Sheila play, you're not hearing music. You're hearing justice denied, vengeance demanded, and a middle finger carved into feedback.
And I'll keep playing until the silence screams back. And if you want the full story of what happened to Chavi and Lina, go to venomoussin.com.
Beautiful, ugly, honest. That's Sheila Moongrave. Thank you for bleeding into this coven tonight.
Yeah, sinners, remember this. Venomous Sin isn't a playlist, it's a fucking curse. And Sheila is the Phantom Guitarist who will make sure you never forget the ones society buried twice.
So here's the truth. Venomous Sin isn't just music. It's vengeance. It's memory. It's a nuclear enema for your comfort zone.
Shut up, Lina. I almost laughed again.
And if you can't handle it, good. That means it's working. You should laugh a bit, Moongrave.
Fuck you, Lord Anal.
Visit venomoussin.com. Check out shop.venomoussin.com for merch. Find us on YouTube. And on Spotify, search Venomous Sin.
Drench yourself in fuck you sauce, sinners, or rot in silence.
Until next time, remember, comfort is coffin candy. Bite down on venom instead.
Venomous Sin declares war on silence.
And I'll be the ghost you can't escape. Venomous Sin declares fucking war.
If you like the show, hit subscribe, share it to anyone you think should hear it.
If you ever been silenced, manipulated, excluded, we are here for you. We are Venomous Sin.
And Venomous Sin declares war!
You are not alone.